Are you preparing for your final exam and looking for the best revision papers? Then you're in the right place. Hi and welcome to System Made Familiar. In this video, we're going to focus on the latest exam that has combined the KNEC sample paper and some other good questions. So this paper has two sections, section A and section B. We're going to solve this paper fully, and therefore kindly stay up to the end so that you can learn, prepare, and revise for your final exam. So to start with, here we have the first question, which reads, in a community clean water project, students used biology, chemistry, and physics. What is the benefit? Part A, memorization. Part B, practical problem solving. Part C, focusing on exams. Part D, limiting subjects. So to start with, the aim of studying biology, chemistry, and physics is not memorization. It is not focusing on exams. And also, part option D is not correct. And therefore, the benefit is practical problem solving. And therefore, the correct option is B, practical problem solving. We continue to question number 2. During a science lesson, learners discussed chemical symbols of the following elements. Roman 1, hydrogen. Roman 2, nitrogen. Roman 3, aluminium. Roman 4, silver. Which one of the following sets show the correct chemical symbols for each of the elements? To start with, we know that the symbol for hydrogen is capital H. The symbol for nitrogen is capital N. The symbol for aluminium is capital A, small l. And the symbol for silver is capital A and small g. So looking at the options, you can see here for aluminium, you have small a and small l. This is not the correct answer. Also B, silver, it is not C, it is AG. Also C is not true. Therefore, the correct option is D. Hydrogen is H, nitrogen capital N, aluminium AL, and silver AG. And therefore, for question number 2, the correct answer is D. Continue to question number 3. A chemical bottles show a flame icon. What hazard? So the question is asking, what is the name of the hazard with a flame icon? A, toxic. B, flammable. C, corrosive. D, harmful. So to start with, it is not toxic, it is not corrosive, and also it is not harmful. Therefore, when you see a flame icon, the symbol, the hazard, stands for a flammable substance, and therefore the correct option is B, flammable. We continue to question number 4. During a class discussion on functions of the part of the male reproductive system, learners identified functions of various parts of the system. The function of the testis is to A, produce hormones and sperms. B, transport sperms only. C, produce sperms only. D, transport sperms and produce hormones. So to start with, it is not B. The function is not to produce sperms, and also not to produce, not to transport, and not to produce. D, transport, that is not the function of the testis. The correct answer is A. The function of the testis is to produce hormones and sperms. We continue to question number 5. Here we have a diagram. The diagram below was drawn by a learner to represent the female reproductive system with the parts labeled K, L, M, and N. The diagram to answer questions 14 and 15. Here we have a diagram. Then the first question you have here, the part labeled N represent, so the N is pointing here. So maybe you can name all these other parts. So we can start with M. M is known as the uterus or womb. You go to K. K is known as the oviduct or the fallopian tube. And then L is known as the ovary. The name for N is known as the cervix. So it is not vagina, it is not uterus, it's not oviduct. So the name is cervix. Therefore, the correct option is A. We continue to the next question, question number 6. Fertilization takes place at the part labeled. So we know that fertilization takes place in the part labeled K, which is the fallopian tube or the oviduct. And therefore, the correct option is A. It takes place at part labeled K. We continue to question number 7. During a class experiment on properties of magnets, a learner freely suspended a magnet as shown in the diagram below. Here we have a thread suspended magnet, and then a wooden stand. Which one of the following is the correct direction the bar magnet would be aligned to? So we know that a magnet has two poles, that is the north and the south pole. And therefore, when suspended, it is going to face north-south direction. And therefore, it is not northeast, southwest. That one is not true. East-west is incorrect, and also northwest, southeast. That one is not true. So the correct direction, it is north-south direction. Therefore, the answer is C. We continue to question number 8. Number 8 reads, during laboratory lesson in a school, learners were asked to identify symbols indicating oxidizing substance. Which one is it? Here we have some symbols. Here we have A, B, C, D. So each one is an oxidizing substance. So to start with, it is not A. A stands for radioactive substances. Also, it is not B. C is toxic substances. And therefore, the correct option is D. You can see here we have a flame over a circle, which is a standard symbol for oxidizing substances. And therefore, the correct answer is D. We continue to question number 9. Learners wanted to measure exactly 10 centimeters cube of acid. So here we underline the word exactly, 10 centimeters cube of acid. Which apparatus will be used? A, beaker, B, pipette, C, measuring cylinder, D, flask. So which one do you think is going to be used? So to start with, it is not beaker, because beaker, it is not accurate. It is used for holding or rough volume estimates. You go to C, measuring cylinder. It is more accurate than a beaker, but not as precise as a pipette, and therefore this one is not the correct answer. But also flask. Flask is used for mixing, storing, or heating sometimes. It is not for accurate measuring. And therefore the correct option is B. A pipette is the one which can be used to measure exactly 10 centimeter cube of acid. The reason because it is most accurate for measuring fixed volumes, like 10 centimeters cube or 25 cubic centimeters. Therefore, the correct option is B. We continue to question number 10. During a group discussion, learners listed the following as benefits of studying various subjects. 2. 1. Understand nature. 2. Strengthens one's faith. 3. Improves one's behavior. 4. Solve problems in daily life. Which 2 are the benefits of studying integrated science? Which one do you think is the correct? So to strengthen one's faith, this one is not in integrated science. This one is related to subjects like CRE, that is religious education. Also to improve one's behavior is not a direct benefit of studying integrated science. And therefore, the benefit is to understand nature. That is, science helps learners explain natural phenomena like environment, living things, matter, energy, and etc. And also to solve problems in daily life like pollution and other factors. And therefore, the benefit is Roman 1 and Roman 4. Looking at the options, the correct answer is D, Roman 1 and Roman 4. We continue to question number 11. The diagram below was drawn by a learner to show parts of the human urinary system with the parts labeled P, Q, R, and S. This is the diagram to answer question 17 and 18. So here we have the system. Then the question is asking, the part that stores urine temporarily is represented by the letter. So before we answer this question, it's better that we understand the parts. So P is known as the kidney. This is the left kidney. Q is called the ureter. R, urinary bladder. And S, the urethra. So the one which stores urine temporarily is the urinary bladder, which is marked as R. And therefore, the correct answer is C. We continue to question number 12. Substances in nature exist as either elements or compounds. That is true. During a lesson, learners classified substances into elements and compounds. Which one of the following pairs of substances consist only of compounds? So you know that a compound is whereby we have 2 or more elements which are chemically combined. So here we have A, copper and iron, B, iron and water, C, water and carbon dioxide, D, copper and carbon dioxide. To start with, all of these two, these are elements. You don't have a compound. Iron and water. Iron, it is an element. Water is a compound because you know that water, the symbol is H2O. So you can see here we have hydrogen and oxygen, which are chemically combined to form water. Because here this is an element, and therefore this is not the correct option. What about part D? Copper is an element. What about carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is a compound because we have the symbol is CO2. Here we have carbon and oxygen, which are chemically combined to form carbon dioxide. Because this is an element, therefore this is not the correct answer. The correct choice is C, water, H2O, and carbon dioxide, CO2. And therefore, the answer is C. We continue to question number 13. In a class activity to classify mixtures, learners were given the following mixtures. Roman 1, salt and sand. You have sugar and water, kerosene and water, milk and water. Which two of the mixtures are homogeneous? You know that you have two types of mixtures, that is homogeneous and heterogeneous. So homogeneous is one in which the elements making up the mixture are uniformly distributed. So salt and water, this is not homogeneous. What about sugar and water? This is homogeneous. Kerosene and water, because these two have different density, they are not going to mix uniformly. This is not homogeneous. Part 4, milk and water, yeah, this is a homogeneous mixture. And therefore, the correct option is Roman 2 and Roman 4, which is B. The correct option is B, Roman 2 and Roman 4. We continue with question number 14. During a class discussion on metals and nonmetals, learners were asked to classify the following elements. You have calcium, sulfur, phosphorus, and sodium. Which one of the following pairs of elements consist only of metals? So we can start with, so we know that calcium is number 20, that is atomic number. Its atomic number is 20. What about phosphorus? Its atomic number is 15. Sulfur, 16. And sodium, 11. So for metals, we know that the electrons in the outermost energy level is either 1 or 2 or 3. So we're going to write these elements, the electron configuration. So for calcium, we have 2, then 8, then 8, and then 2. If you add this, 2 plus 8, 10, 10 plus 8, 18, plus 2, 20. For sulfur, it is 2, 8, and 6. For phosphorus is 2, 8, 5. Sodium is 2, 8, 1. So you can see this one, calcium is a metal because the outermost energy level, it has 2 electrons, and also sodium, it is a metal because it has 1 electron in the outermost energy level. And therefore these are nonmetals. And therefore the correct option is one which has Roman 1 and Roman 4. Roman 1, which is option A. So Roman 1 and Roman 4 contains only metals, that is calcium and sodium. We continue to question number 15. The following are some changes that takes place in day-to-day life. Water becoming ice, fermenting of milk, rusting of iron nails, drying of wet clothes. Which one of the following pair consists only of physical changes? You know that a physical change, no new substance is formed, and the process can be easily reversed. So fermenting of milk, this is not a physical change. And also rusting of iron nails, this is a chemical change. And therefore, water becoming ice, it can be reversed. And also drying of wet clothes, this can be reversed. And therefore, a pair which consists only of physical change, we have a Roman 1 and Roman 4, which is D. The correct answer is D. So water becoming ice and drying of wet clothes, those are physical changes. Continue to question number 16. After discussion on changes that takes place in boys and girls during adolescence, a learner summarized the changes as shown in the table. Which one of the following changes is correctly summarized? So here we have 2 columns, change in boys, change in girls. So A, hips becomes broad. That is not true for boys, and therefore A is incorrect. Boys' chest widens, that is true. Girls' chest widens, that is not true for girls. We go to C. Breast enlarge, that is in boys, that is not true. And therefore the correct option is D. Pubic hair grows, that is for boys. But also for girls, pubic hair grows. So the correct option is D. Let's continue to question number 17. Sorry for that. Here we have question number 17. So 17 reads, the human digestive system has various parts that perform different functions. In which of the following parts of the system does the absorption of water take place? A. Stomach. B. Large intestine. C. Mouth. D. Small intestine. Which one do you think is the correct option? So to start with, it is not stomach, because the main function of stomach is to digest proteins. Also, part C, mouth. Mouth, it is not where water is absorbed. The function of the mouth is mechanical digestion, that is breaking down of food, and also mixing food with saliva. What about small intestine? That is not the correct answer, because in the small intestine, it is the main site for digestion and absorption of nutrients. Therefore, the correct option is B. Absorption of water takes place in the large intestine. We continue with the next question. The diagram below was drawn by a group of learners to represent the human skin with parts labeled T, U, V, W, and X. This is the diagram to answer questions 18 and 19. So 18, the part of the skin that produces sweat, presented by the letter. So here we have some letters T, U, V, W, X. So this is the sweat glands, and therefore this is the one that produces sweat, and therefore the part is labeled as X. For question number 19, the correct answer is D. 18, sorry. We continue, question number 19. Which one of the following is the function of the part represented by letter T? So let us go back and see T. So T is known as the epidermis, is the outermost layer of the skin. So the function of the epidermis is to, here we have A, protection against physical injury. B, insulation against heat loss. C, supply of blood. D, production of hair. So to start with, it is not the D, production of hair. It is from the hair follicle, not the epidermis. Supply of blood. Know that the blood capillaries and the blood vessels are found in the dermis, not epidermis. Insulation against heat loss. This is done by the fat layer. And therefore, the correct option is A, protection against physical injury. So the epidermis provides a tough protective covering against injury, pathogens. That is the entry of pathogens. And therefore, the correct option is A. We continue to question number 20. Learners observed that water obtained from a nearby stream was not lathering easily with soap. They suggested the following as methods of making the water to lather easily. Roman 1, boiling the water. Roman 2, filtering the water. Roman 3, adding washing soda. Each of the methods suggested by the learners could be used to make the water lather easily. So they're talking about hard water. So this is grade 9 work, so hard water. Know that hard water contains magnesium and calcium ions, that is dissolved magnesium and calcium salts. So methods of removing hard water is by you can boil to remove temporary water hardness. Also, we can add washing soda, also known as sodium carbonate. But filtering, this one will not remove the dissolved ions. So it only removed particles such as the sand and other particles, but not the ions. Therefore, the correct method is by boiling the water and adding washing soda. And therefore, 1 and Roman 3 are the correct choices. And therefore, it is C, 1 and 3. We continue with question number 21. During a lesson, learners discussed applications of acid and bases. They listed the following applications: manufacture of Roman 1, car batteries. Roman 2, soft drinks. Roman 3, toothpaste. Roman 4, baking powder. Which one of the following pairs of the applications listed are for bases only? So we want for bases only. So we know for car batteries, we use sulfuric acid, which is an acid, not a base, and therefore any option with Roman 1 is automatically wrong. And therefore for A, this one is wrong, and also for D, this one is wrong. So we remain with B and C. Also soft drink mostly, they use acid. Therefore, also Roman 2 is not an application of a base. Therefore, option B is odd one out. And therefore, we remain with C, which is the manufacture of toothpaste and also baking powder. Therefore, the correct option is C. Those are the functions of applications of bases, the applications of bases. We continue to question number 22. During a class discussion on appliances used in day-to-day life, learners listed the following appliances. Roman 1, air conditioner. Roman 2, fireless cooker. Roman 3, thermos flask. Roman 4, washing machine. Which two of the listed appliances use electricity to perform their function? So we know that air conditioner uses electricity and also washing machine. Therefore, the correct option is Roman 1 and Roman 4, which is a part C. So 1 and 4 is the correct answer. Let's go on to the next question, question number 23. Curved mirrors are used in day-to-day life for different purposes. Learners discussed and listed the following as application of curved mirrors. So security mirrors in supermarkets, motor vehicles side mirrors, car headlights, and solar cookers. Which two of the uses are correct only for convex mirror? So you know that we have two types of mirrors. We have convex and concave. And convex is the one where we have with bulges outward, giving a wide field of view. And therefore, let us look at the option. So car headlights is an application of concave, and the reason is this uses a concave mirror to focus light into a beam. Also solar cooker, this uses a concave mirror. This uses a concave mirror to concentrate sunlight to a point. And therefore, the correct option is use the security mirrors in supermarket because a convex mirror provides a wide field of view. And also used as motor vehicles side mirror. And therefore, the correct option is Roman 1 and Roman 2. So Roman 1 and Roman 2 is option D. We'll continue to question number 24. In activity to identify magnetic and non-magnetic materials, learners put a certain object in a carton box and placed the box near a bar magnet as shown in the diagram below. So you have a bar magnet and then you have a box. The box was observed to move the direction shown by the arrow. So the box is moving this way. The object inside the box was likely to have been A, a silver coin, B, iron nail, C, cold ring, D, wooden rod. So since the direction is moving towards this way, so that is an attraction. So the magnet is going to attract this box. That is the material that is inside the box. And therefore, they are testing the concept of magnetic and non-magnetic material. So you know that a silver coin is an non-magnetic material, it will not be attracted by a magnet. Also a gold ring and also a wooden rod. And therefore, the one which is inside is iron nail, which is magnetic material. It will be attracted by a magnet, and that's why it is moving in this direction. And therefore, the correct option is B. Question number 25. At adolescence, boys and girls may experience frequent changes in moods. The best advice for such adolescent would be to A, be sleeping less, B, avoid interactions, C, do physical exercise regularly, D, eat more energy-giving food. So to start with, the best advice is not to sleep less. Also to avoid interaction, that is not the best advice. Eating more energy-giving food, that is not the best advice. The best advice is to do physical exercises regularly. So that is the best advice. We continue to question number 26. The function of the part presented by letter Q is to. So this is asking on our system here, letter Q. Let us go back and see letter Q. Here we have our letter Q. So letter Q, remember we said the name is ureter. So the name is called ureter. Ureter. So the function of the ureter is to allow the passage of urine from the kidneys to the renal bladder. So let us go back and look for the correct answer. So the function of the letter Q, to filter salt and water, that is not true. To filter waste product from blood, that is the function of the kidney. To provide temporary storage for urine, that is the function of the urinary bladder. So the correct option is D, to provide passage of urine to the bladder. We continue to question number 27. Human beings have different types of teeth. Each type has a unique structure suited for its function. A learner observed a model of a human tooth that had a sharp edges and was chisel shaped. The function of the tooth is likely to be, so from this description, so when you hear chisel shaped, then this description fits an incisor. Know that the function of the incisor is for cutting and biting. So here we have options. A, crushing. Crushing this is done by the molars. Chewing also is a general work of the molars and premolars. Tearing, this is the work of the canines because they are sharp pointed, and therefore the work is cutting. The correct option is B, cutting. So these all these are not true, and therefore the function of the incisor is for cutting and biting, which is B. We continue to question number 28. A medical officer gave a talk on healthy lifestyles that promote kidney health. Which one of the following could not have been included in the talk as a healthy lifestyle that promote kidney health? Eating a balanced diet, this promotes a healthy kidney. Drinking plenty of clean water also promotes a healthy kidney. Also getting enough sleep. So the one which is not true is eating sugary foods. So the correct option is D, eating sugary foods. Question number 29. Planners classified sources of electricity into renewable and renewable sources. Which one of the following combination of sources electricity was correctly classified by the learners? So which one was correctly classified by the learners? You have A, geothermal as renewable, B, coal as non-renewable. You have wind, hydroelectric, natural gas, solar, tidal waves, and biomass. So renewable means it can be replenished naturally. So the one which is, for example, for part B, hydroelectric is not non-renewable, it is renewable. Therefore, that is not correctly matched. Also, solar is renewable, not non-renewable. Also, biomass is renewable. And therefore, the one which is correctly matched, it is A. Geothermal is a renewable source, while coal is a non-renewable source. We continue to question number 30, which is the last part of section A. Purity pointed a part in the cell known as the cytoplasm. The image below, cytoplasm has been labeled as, so here we have the image, we have letters Q, R, P, and S. So first let us know the name of these parts. So to start with R is known as the vacuole. What about S? S is the cell wall. What about Q? Q is the cytoplasm. Do you know the function? Do you know the name of P? Let us know in the comment section if you know the name of P. And therefore the cytoplasm is labeled as Q. So Q is the cytoplasm. So that is the end of the first part of this paper. If you are still following, kindly consider liking this video. Thank you so much for liking. Thank you so much for supporting. If we continue section B, here we have section B structured questions, 40 marks. So thank you so much for liking. Let us continue with section B. The first question, task 1, you can see it is 10 marks. A science teacher emphasizes the importance of safety in the laboratory. State 2 general laboratory safety rules that students should always follow. 2 marks. So number 1, we know that never eat or drink in the laboratory as chemicals could contaminate food or the drink. So that is the first rule. Also, always follow instructions carefully, whether given orally or in written form, and never perform unauthorized experiments. So they were asking to state 2. I've stated 2, and therefore those are my 2 rules. We have so many rules. For example, we have a report any accidents or spills to the teacher. Also, keep the laboratory bench tidy and clear of unnecessary items. And we have another one which says, wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water before leaving the laboratory. So this is an open question. You can give any 2 safety rules. We continue with part B. Describe the first aid procedure for a minor cut, for a minor burn sustained in the laboratory. 2 marks. So this is grade 7 work. So the first, So the first step is immediately cool the burn under cold running water for at least 10 to 20 minutes. Do not use ice as it can cause further tissue damage. So the first step is to cool down by using running water. Then number 2, you remove any clothing from the burned area unless it is stuck to the skin. So you remove any clothing unless it's stuck to the skin. And then finally, you can cover the burn with a clean and fluffy dressing, and then avoid applying creams, ointments, or butter. So you cover the burn with a clean and fluffy dressing. Then if the burn is severe, seek medical attention. So you can seek medical attention if the burn is large deep, which causes blistering. So these are the first aid procedures which can be done for minor burns in the laboratory. We continue with the part C. Identify the following laboratory hazard symbols. Here we have A and B. So we know that A is an environmental hazard that is dangerous for the environment. So A stands for environmental hazard. What about B? B, you can see here we have some test tubes, metal, and also a hand. So this is corrosive substances. So the symbol stands for corrosive substances. Corrosive substances. Yeah, so those are the meaning of those two symbols. The meaning of those two symbols. We continue with the part 32. We are given a cloudy mixture. So we note the word cloudy mixture in a beaker. After some time, the solid particles settle at the bottom. So here we have a beaker. We can see cloudy, and then here we have the solid particle. Part A. Identify this type of mixture and then name the process by which the solid settles to max. So I know many will say this is a heterogeneous mixture, but this mixture is known as a suspension. So when you see a cloudy mixture, so it is known as a suspension. So this type of mixture is called suspension. Then the process by which the solid settles is called sedimentation. So the process by which the solid settles at the bottom due to gravity is called sedimentation. So that is the process. So the mixture is known as suspension. The process is called sedimentation. Continue to part B. Describe how you could separate the clear liquid from the settled solid in this mixture. So 2 marks. So the first step is carefully pour the clear liquid to the top into another container, making sure not to disturb the settled solid. This process is called decantation. So you pour the top liquid into another container without disturbing the solid at the bottom. Also, after decantation, you could use filtration by pouring the remaining mixture through a funnel lined with filter paper. The solid, which we call the residue, would be retained on the filter paper, and the clear liquid, the filtrate, would pass through. That is a simple way, a simple step, which you can use to separate these two, this mixture. So we can use what we call decantation method and also filtration by using a filter paper. Part C. Give one example of such mixture in everyday life. So we have so many mixtures. We can have a mixture of immiscible liquids. Immiscible liquids, these are 2 liquids which you don't mix. Example is oil and water. You'll see that the oil floats on top of water. You can have kerosene or petrol and water. That is any 2 liquids which don't dissolve, that don't mix. You also have mixtures of a mixture of a liquid and an insoluble solid. For example, sand and water, muddy water, chalk powder and water, and etc. So you can give here, for example, oil and water. Oil and water, that is one example. Or you can also say here, we can give sand and water. Sand and water. Sand and water, and we have so many. So that is the end of the first task, 10 marks. So we go to task 2, 10 marks. John is using a microscope to observe a prepared slide of plant cells. Name 2 key differences between an animal cell and a plant cell that John might observe under the microscope. So you know that for animal cell, it lacks a cell wall. So lacks a cell wall. Lacks a cell wall. What about plant cell? Plant cell, they have a rigid cell wall. So it has a cell wall. So it has a cell wall. So that is the first difference. The second difference, what about the shape? Is often irregular in shape. So irregular in shape. And then for this, the shape is fixed, so it has a regular or fixed shape. Has a regular shape. Also, you can also add another one. It lacks chloroplast. So animal cell lacks chloroplast. What about plant cell? It has chloroplast for photosynthesis, so contains chloroplast. So contains chloroplast, and the reason is for photosynthesis. So chloroplast is a very essential, the process of photosynthesis. Then we are done with part A. You continue with part B. Explain the role of the nucleus in a cell. So we know that the nucleus controls all the activity of the cell. It controls all the activities of the cell. All the activities of the cell. Of the cell. For example, e.g., you have growth, metabolism, and etc. So it controls all the activities of the cell, for example, growth, metabolism, and others. Also, it carries the genetic material of the cell. So that is another function. So it carries the genetic material of that cell, that is the DNA. So we get that 1 mark. Continue to part C. The diagram below shows a setup used by learners to demonstrate a certain process that takes place in living things. Here we have peeled potato, salt crystals, and then here we have water. Then here we have another setup. And then here we have the same setup. But this is the beginning, this is the end. So the question is asking, explain the observation made to the end of the demonstration, 2 marks. So I know you can see the difference. Look at the water level. Initially, it was the water level was high, but after some time, the level decreased. So that is the first observation. You can see a decrease in water level in the beaker. Get 1 mark. But the question is saying explain. So you have to explain why the water decreased in the beaker. The reason is because water moved from an area of high water concentration to an area of low water concentration across a semi-permeable membrane, and that process is known as osmosis. So since water is highly concentrated here, it's going to move inside. So through a semi-permeable membrane, that's why the level decreases. That's what we mean by osmosis. So that is the osmosis had taken place. So we get those 2 marks. Continue to question number 34. During a health talk, the challenges of adolescence are discussed. These 2 common physical changes that occur during adolescence in boys. Know that for boys, the voice deepens or breaks. That is true. Also, broadening of shoulders and increase in muscle mass. This is an open question. You have so many changes that takes place in boys. We're going to give the changes that takes place in boys only. So you get those 2 marks. We continue to question number 35. During a nature walk to study adaptations of flowers to wind and insect pollination, learners observed a dull-colored flowers with small petals. So here we have dull-colored flowers. So the petals are dull. State the likely agent of pollination for the flower. So you know that this is the agent is wind pollination. So the agent is wind. So this is wind. So the agent is wind. The reason is because the colors, the petals are dull colored. They are not brightly colored, and then they have small petals. So the agent is wind. You know that we have a other agent, for example, insect. This is grade 9 work. So we get that 1 mark. So the agent is wind. Go to part B. State 2 adaptations the learners may have observed on the flower. So apart from being dull, you have some other characteristics. For example, Roman 1, they have large feathery stigmas, and the reason is to provide a large surface area for catching pollen grains carried by wind. Also, Roman 2, they have small, light, and numerous pollen grains. So the pollen grains are small and light. Then the reason is to be easily carried by the wind over long distances. Finally, you can add another point which says the anthers often hanging outside the flower, and the reason is to easily to release pollen into the wind. So those are the other characteristics of wind pollinated flowers. You go to question number 36. Here we have task 3, 10 marks. Two different simple circuits were set up as shown. So you have A and B. What is the role of the battery in this circuit? So you can see this is the battery. So this is the switch. This is the bulbs. We have two bulbs, and then this is the battery. Also here, this is the two bulbs are here, the battery and the switch. So what is the role of the battery in the circuit? 1 mark. So we know that the battery acts as the source of power in the circuit. It provides the voltage that drives the electric current through the circuit. So the function of the battery is to act as the source of power. It provides voltage which drives electric current. Part B, what is the type of bulb connection in setup B? So you can set up B, here we have an arrangement of bulbs in this order. So the type is called parallel arrangement. So the connection is parallel. What about parallel? Sorry for that. So it is called parallel. What about A? A is called series connection. So series, this is parallel connection. So when a positive terminal of a bulb is connected to another positive terminal of a bulb, or the negative terminal is connected to another negative terminal of a bulb, then that connection is said to be parallel connection. But when a positive terminal is connected to a negative terminal, then it is said to be in series connection. So part A is series, part B is parallel connection. Part C, name one common household appliance that uses an electric motor which relies on the principle of magnetism. So 1 mark. So electric motor, we have so many appliances in our homes. One example is blender. So blender uses an electric motor. Which other appliances do you know? So I've given one. You can also tell us the other appliances in the comment section. So you continue with the part question number 37. You have two bars of metals. One is permanent magnet and the other is not magnetized. Describe one way to determine which bar is the permanent magnet without using any other magnets. So 2 marks. So which method can you determine? And then part B, state 2 uses of permanent magnet. So we're going to start with the part B. So uses of a permanent magnet is used in compasses for navigation and also loudspeakers and headphones to convert electrical signals into sound for lifting and sorting. So the second function is loudspeakers and headphones to convert electrical signals into sound, and also it can be used for lifting and sorting metallic scrap in industry. So those are the functions, the uses of the permanent magnets. So describe one way to determine which bar is permanent magnet without using any other magnet. Because this space is very limited, I'm going to pin the solution to question number A in the comment section so you can go through it because this space is limited. So I'm going to pin this answer in the comment section. So we continue with question number 38. Differentiate between magnetic material and a non-magnetic material, giving one example of each, 2 marks. So you know that a magnetic material is a substance that is strongly attracted by a magnet and can be magnetized easily. Example, you have iron, nickel, and cobalt. So when you're told to differentiate and giving an example, make sure you differentiate and then you give the example. Part B, a non-magnetic material is a substance that is not attracted by a magnet and cannot be magnetized. Example is wood, plastic, copper, aluminium, glass, and etc. So we get those 2 marks. Task 4, then you have 10 marks. In a chemistry class, students are learning about the structure of an atom and how elements are arranged. Draw a diagram showing the electron arrangement of an atom, the atomic number 12. Then we are given instruction, you do not need to draw the nucleus in detail. Just represent the shells and electrons, 2 marks. So for us to draw this, we're going to first write electronic configuration. So the atomic number is 12. So this means the first energy level will have 2 electrons, the maximum is 2. Then the second energy level is 8, third energy level is 8, and so on. So when you remove 2 here, you remain with the 10. So the second energy level will take 8. So 8 plus 2 is 10, and we have 12 protons. So we remain with the last energy level is 2, so that when you add this 2 plus 8 is 10, 8 plus 2 is 12. So we're going to represent this. So this means that this atom has 3 energy level. So we're going to draw the structure. So the structure is here. You can see my structure is here. Here we have the first energy level taking 2 electrons. Then the second energy level taking 8. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then finally, the last energy level, it has 2 electrons. And then the atom, because it has 12 protons in the nucleus, the name is magnesium. The symbol is Mg. So you continue with the part B. State whether this element is a metal or a non-metal, and give one reason for your answer based on its electron arrangement. So we know that this element is a metal. Why? The reason is because it has 2 electrons in the outermost shell. Metals have 1, 2, or 3 electrons in the outermost energy level. So you can see the outermost energy level has 2 electrons, and therefore this is a metal. So you state it that way, you explain, you're going to get those 2 marks. We continue with the question number C. Explain what an alloy is and give one example of a common alloy. So explain what is an alloy and give an example. So we know that an alloy is a substance made by mixing 2 or more elements where at least one of them is a metal. So that is the meaning of an alloy. So an alloy, we have 2 or more substances which are mixed together, and one of them is a metal. So we have so many alloys. For example, we have brass. Alloys examples, we have brass. So you're going to say e.g. Example, we have brass. We have bronze. We have steel, and etc. So these are examples of common alloy. Continue to question number 39. A household in an area with hard water is experiencing issues with soap, lathering, and scale buildup in the kettle. Define the term hard water. So you know that hard water is water that contains high concentration of dissolved mineral salt, that is calcium ions and magnesium ions. That is hard water. Also define it this way. You can say that hard water is water which does not lather easily with soap. So you can say hard water does not lather easily with soap. So you can give any of the definition. We go to part B. Describe one method of removing temporary hardness from water. 2 marks. We're going to describe. So the method we can use boiling. Now that boiling removes temporary water hardness. So how do we explain? So when hard water is boiled, the soluble calcium hydrogen carbonate and magnesium hydrogen carbonate decompose to form insoluble calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate respectively. So these insoluble compounds precipitate out as solid, which can be removed by filtration. So that is how we can remove by boiling. So when you boil, the dissolved, that is the soluble, the calcium hydrogen carbonate and magnesium hydrogen carbonate, the magnesium and calcium ions decompose to form insoluble calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate, which is insoluble and can be removed by filtration. Part C. State one disadvantage of using hard water for domestic purposes. So we know that hard water does not lather easily with soap. So one disadvantage is soap wastage. Hard water forms come with soap, so a lot of soap is wasted before it can lather. Also, we have scale deposits. So causes lime scale to form in kettles, boilers, and pipes, which can reduce efficiency of heating systems and also can block water pipes. So these are the disadvantages of using hard water for domestic purposes. So you can see that is the end of this paper. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also tell us which paper you want us to do next, and I will do it. See you in the next video. Best wishes.